Gonna go ahead and hit record so we can go ahead and get started. It looks like everyone's connected to audio. So thank you so much for joining our Summer Start Abroad info session. We're really excited to share more about this unique experience to kickstart your studies at NC State while studying abroad. So we hope that we can share some information, and we'll have some time at the end for questions that you might have. And kind of go over the process if this is something that you're interested in doing. So just to give you an overview of what we'll be talking about today, we'll go over each of the programs. So we have two Summer Start Abroad programs, one in Prague and the Czech Republic, and one in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We have three lovely faculty members here. I'm going to pin their videos so they stay here at the top. So they will introduce themselves and talk a little bit more about the classes that they'll be teaching in each of these locations. And then we'll go over the specific program details for each of the locations. And then to wrap up, we'll go over just general health and safety information that our office has in place for all study abroad programs, including this one. We'll talk about financials and just the whole process. This program is pretty unique. So we'll talk about the process of getting there and what it looks like to come back, how to apply, and then again at the end we'll have some time for Q&A. So why should you consider participating? I think this is a really unique experience. We have study abroad programs and for students all throughout their time at NC State, but this is a way to actually study abroad 2 weeks before your fall semester starts at NC State. The students that have participated on these programs, we've got some students with Dr. Harris here who are in Argentina this year. But the students who participate in this program said that they've been able to build really strong connections with other students on the program and get to meet them and develop some friendships before they even step on campus for the fall semester. It's also a great way to explore a new country while having that network of support. And so all of our programs will have the NC State faculty who are teaching the classes, but also a staff member from the study abroad office who will go and accompany the program. In this picture here, we have Julia Law, our director, who went with the program to Argentina. I've traveled the past 2 years to Prague and have really enjoyed getting to know the students. And I think it's a great way to get to know the faculty on a deeper level. You get to travel and have this very intensive experience together. That's a really, I think, great thing to have, going into your first year. You will earn 3 credits before your fall semester even starts, and really get a sense of what it's like to take a college level class if you haven't already. And then I think study abroad in general helps you build a lot of skills that are helpful while you're in college, but also as you're looking for jobs and thinking about things in the future. Developing cultural competence, learning how to problem solve, learning how to be adaptable. The programs don't always go exactly how we plan them. And so learning how to be adaptable and, is a great skill to have. So here's just an overview of the programs. If you're interested in participating, you would come to Raleigh on July 28th. We spend 2 days together here on campus, and the whole group will fly together on that Wednesday night to either Buenos Aires or to Prague, depending on the program. They're just under 2 weeks. None of the classes have any prerequisites or language requirements. However, if you are interested in practicing your Czech or Spanish, that's definitely an option for the program. Like I mentioned before, you're traveling with faculty and study abroad support staff. And so we're there to help you sort of adjust. If this is your first time going abroad, you're a little bit nervous, it's a great opportunity to go and kind of dip your toes into what study abroad can be. And each of our programs includes a weekend or overnight excursion, cultural activities, and historic tours. So on the left, we have an overview of the courses offered. So in the Czech Republic, we have IS 200, Intro to International Studies. And you can see below which of the global general education program, GEP requirements that it fulfills. So any study abroad program will fulfill the global knowledge, and then each of these will fulfill one other GEP as well. The other class in the Czech Republic is SLC 250, which is a class that's required for our leadership minor, critical and creative decision-making models. And then in Argentina, we have Intro to Food Science. So really great courses, really great programs. Both of them are great options, and we hope to share a little bit more. I think I will pass it over. Oh, I'm almost ready to pass it over to the faculty to introduce themselves, but each of these classes is designed as a first-year inquiry course, which means that they're pretty active, and they use the specific location where you're going to be in the class and incorporate that into the program, and helps develop critical and creative thinking skills, even if you're not taking the critical and creative decision-making models class. They're smaller class sizes, so the classes will be capped at 17 students. And like I said before, it's a great introduction to what university level courses are going to be like, and they help you develop study skills that will help you become successful in your next couple of years at NC State. So with that, I will pass it on to the faculty to introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Gabriel Keith Harris. As you see, I've got a cup of coffee in my hand. That's pretty much how it is most of the time. So happy to say hello to you all. I'm the co-advisor for the undergraduate food science program, and I'm a professor of food science. And I run the program in Argentina. So that's the Intro to Food Science course. Very much looking to working with you all, and yeah, just looking forward to meeting you and enjoying Buenos Aires with you.
Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to see people from all over the country here today, and congratulations on being accepted to NC State. That's a huge deal. So congratulations to all of you as you try and decide what are your next steps. My name is Tiffany McLean, and I'm going to be teaching in the Czech Republic a leadership course called Creative and Critical Decision Making, which foundationally to be a successful leader, whether that's a student leader or a leader in your professional life, it's going to be really important to have strong critical decision making skills. And so I'm excited to work with you who decide on that course to develop your skills that are going to be necessary for success here at NC State and beyond. I do work within the Shelton Leadership Center, and Sarah referred to that. We do actually have 2 leadership minors that we oversee, which is our global leadership minor and our cross-disciplinary leadership minor. And we're excited to have you also explore those opportunities as you continue to grow yourself here at NC State. So I'm going to pass it to you, Seth.
Hello, everyone. I think it's a good evening for everybody. I think we're all at least it seems, in the same time zone. But my name's Seth Murray. I'm a professor at NC State. I've been here for the last 18 years. For the last 15, I've directed the International Studies program, which is an interdisciplinary major in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences that broadly gets students to think about globalization as it impacts their lives and its multifaceted dimensions. By training, I'm an environmental anthropologist, and most of my research is actually in Europe, and have worked primarily in France and Spain, but also in Romania and Sweden. So the Czech Republic is a place where I'm able to both bridge my connections from my research portfolio with a wonderful opportunity to use both Prague and the Czech Republic as a living laboratory for our classes. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about Prague. And I'm sorry, do I control the screen? You got it for me, Sarah. So as you can see here, it is a lovely place in the Central European part of the EU, and has an amazing architecture and history that by and large has been preserved intact. And like a lot of other major European capitals, it wasn't completely destroyed or severely even damaged during the Second World War. NC State is quite unique in that we have a freestanding center in Prague. So it is a fully integrated part of our campus. It just happens to not be in Raleigh, but in Prague. And by that I mean when you are on campus at our European Center, you are using the same kinds of credentials to log into computers. Your access to the same types of resources that you would have access to on main campus exists. So it really is a particularly unique opportunity for the Study Abroad Office to build a broad set of experiences, and and it's also in a very lovely part of the city. The center top image that you see here is the astronomical clock, one of the most famous landmarks of the city and the Czech Republic. So if you've ever been, or if you ever just kind of Google Street View this, stand in front of the clock and then turn to your left, look between the buildings, and you'll see at the top NC State. So we're really right in the center of the city, historic city. It's a European capital, so it has all the kind of things that you would come to expect with that. The museums, the vibrant cultural life, music, theater, art, food. It's a place that's easy, also easy to navigate in terms of its public tram system. So we take that really seriously and try and get our classes to really match up with the experience that you're having while you're studying in Prague for 2 weeks. And that means when we talk about examples in classes, we are trying to bring them to life using the kinds of things that you're seeing or hearing or smelling and tasting in your experience in the Czech Republic. So for my class on globalization, for instance, we talk about pressing issues when it comes to democratization or the movement of people and migrations. And those are things that we can explore in lots of places around the world. We try and bring those to life by discussing them through the lens of the European Union, through the lens of the Czech Republic, and the kinds of things that we learn about along the way come to life, and then are easier for us to then discuss about parallels and connections and differences that exist. And that's the nice thing about this class, is that it is bringing both some firsthand experiences, but then you also are able to react in real time to the things that you see and the things that you discover along with your classmates. It's a collective debriefing in many ways at the beginning of each class day, where we discuss the things that we've learned and the questions that we have from what we saw in the city the day before. So, is there one more slide, Sarah? I'm sorry. I thought I had control, but I don't think I do. Yeah. So we will have, as Sarah mentioned, one overnight trip to Český Krumlov, which is near the Austrian border. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so it's designated for its particular importance to humans everywhere as a place that embodies a tangible past from either architecture, and in this case, both architecture and history. We'll spend the day there learning about that history. We will raft into the city on the first day, and we will have a lovely dinner in a medieval restaurant where they cook on an open fire for us. And that evening, we will go to a very particular event that I've never experienced anywhere else in the world, which is an opera that's held outdoors, and the spectators are seated in a revolving amphitheater. So the actors move in and out from the forest around the theater, and the theater spins during the opera from one act to the next. So it's quite an amazing orchestration of sorts, but one that is always the highlight of my time in the Czech Republic. The draft schedule you'll see here might change a little bit, but essentially what we're trying to do, whether it's the global leadership, the creative decision-making class, or the Intro to International Studies class, is to blend both our classroom time with site visits and excursions. We begin at NC State all together, and that gives us a chance to really create some foundational vocabulary, conceptual vocabulary, and maybe a little bit of emergency Czech or Spanish if you need that. And from there, we are really kind of moving as a cohort as we travel to our respective destinations. We'll have class time separately, but the rest of the excursions are led by both of us faculty and our both US-based staff person and our Czech Prague-based staff person, and they get us to these different places. One of them that you'll see here that I haven't mentioned yet is Terezín, which was a notorious prison that housed, in many ways, the prototype concentration camp and Jewish ghetto during World War II, and that was used by Nazis as a propaganda tool, particularly in dealing with the Red Cross and Western governments to try and give us an opportunity to see how that intense historical moment can be understood now through the lens of decision making and the kinds of things that transpired both before and after. And then, of course, obviously, the legacies of that type of structural violence 80 years ago still resonate and have dramatic consequences even in Europe and our world today. So we try and bring those particular experiences to the classroom and talk about those and give us a chance to debrief together. But it's also about expanding your own horizons about a really important part of our human past. And then when all that's done and we have all been amply challenged, amply filled, amply exhausted by all of these experiences, we then board a plane, come back to Raleigh, and if I'm not mistaken, you all go and move into your dorms that afternoon. So, and then welcome week begins. So you will already have had a full plate of NC State experience, but just not necessarily NC State in Raleigh. I'd like to reiterate the point that Sarah made about the cohort building effect. I've taught this class. I'm losing track. I think it's 8, 7, a number of times. What always amazes me at the end is how deep and meaningful those friendships for the students have become. And even if they don't necessarily stay friends throughout all of their university studies, they definitely stayed in contact over the years and provide a really supportive group of people to begin their college experience with. And that part is particularly unique to these summer start programs. And I'll turn it over, I think, yes, Dr. Harris.
Hey there, everyone. Let's talk about Argentina and specifically Buenos Aires. So we start this program in Raleigh, North Carolina summer. It's going to be hot and humid. Argentina, being in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be fall, nice and cool, wonderful weather, and so it's going to be a really great time to visit this area. You see some of the pictures that we have with the students that were part of the last class. We had just such a great time. But Buenos Aires is really a probably the most European style of all of the capitals of Latin America. Very strongly influenced by French and English, and then finally Italian kind of influences. So you'll find a lot of wonderful pizza and other Italian food that you may recognize, along with the very famous empanadas and things of this nature that are part of the Argentinian cuisine. So the city itself, we're gonna as Seth indicated, we're going to start out at NC State. We're going to start out by exploring some of the things you can do at our university, but we're going to very quickly move into Buenos Aires, and going to be working with a so great to work with, and they're actually going to be meeting you and working on some of the classes with us. So you're actually going to expand your network dramatically. And of course, if you'd like to, you can certainly pick up the very particular brand of Spanish that Argentina has. It's sort of a mix between Italian and Spanish, but really wonderful place to visit. And you're going to make some friends if you mention the World Cup victory for sure. So next slide. All right. So we're going to start our experience at NC State and then move to Buenos Aires. We're going to end our experience at an estancia. This is a farm where they have cows. We got there. I didn't realize that's what they were, but essentially these thoroughbred horses. They raise a lot of different types of crops. So we're going to get a full tour of that farm, and it's just a very relaxing way to unwind after what's going to be almost 2 weeks of pretty intensive classes and touring of all of the things that we want to see in terms of the food science that's related to this course. So this farm tour is a lot of fun, and again, it's conducted by the professors from the other university, San Andres. You're going to meet some really amazing people, and we're going to have some incredible food. We had some just wonderful lunches and dinners. More slide there. Okay, I'll start describing it while we're moving to the next slide. So we'll start by by talking about our. You go to any of the dining halls and drink the milk or eat the ice cream. Any of that stuff is what we make actually in our building, and so we're going to comes from and go through the whole process to see how we produce food here in North Carolina at NC State, and then we're going to transfer that knowledge to how this works in Buenos Aires and in Argentina in general. So the first picture that you saw with me and a group of students, that was us at Serenissima. That's the largest dairy plant that they have in Argentina, and one of their specialties is an amazing type of caramel called dulce de leche. It's absolutely delicious and wonderful. So that's one of the things that you'll see there. But we also were able to do a lot of things within the city. So we visited a popcorn manufacturer, which makes popcorn for all places all over Argentina. Lots and lots of movie theaters. So it was kind of cool to see a small company there versus a large company at Serenissima. So we're going to visit a lot of these different places where food is actually made and actually get to taste a lot of it. We're also going to have some experiences around the city. So as you may know, Argentina and specifically Buenos Aires is the origin of tango. So I won't tell you that after one single tango class that you will be an expert. I certainly was not, but it's a lot of fun just to try that out. There's so much to do in the city itself. It is a major city, so lots to do and very, very walkable. Lots of museums and things to see there. And as I said, we'll finish with that estancia tour. So that's a very nice way of winding down before we fly back to NC State and you start your career with 3 credits under your belt already as an NC State student. So really looking forward to meeting you all and working with you as part of this Intro to Food Science course.
All right, thank you. All right. So I see there may be some parents on this call, and this is often a question we get from parents is like, but will my child be safe? Health and safety is the #1 priority of our office. I'm the assistant director of study abroad, and I oversee all of our short-term programs like this one. I'm part of an emergency response team that includes our director and other assistant director, and we're available 24/7 to respond to student incidents abroad. We also have really strong partners on site. So as Seth or Dr. Harris and Dr. Murray both mentioned, We actually have almost like a mini NC State campus in Prague. So we've got full-time staff that are there. Anna is the on-site person that works closely with the program, and she's amazing. And she, along with the staff person that's there from our office, will support the students throughout the experience. San Andres is not a mini NC State campus, but one of our exchange partners where we send students for a semester, and we have a really strong partnership with them, have several programs that run in Buenos Aires every year with them. And Guillermo is the on-site contact that is there with the group the entire time. And the students always really love both Anna and Guillermo, and they're able to provide really great support. We also provide international health insurance for all students studying abroad. That not only includes health insurance, but in the case of an emergency or natural disaster, also evacuation benefits. We've never had to use those, but it is nice to know that they are there in place. Both cities where students go are relatively safe. Nowhere in the world can be guaranteed safe 100% of the time, but both of these cities, I think, are comparatively safe and good places for students to travel. We have a lot of information that we share with students ahead of the program. So in the summer, we'll have a virtual pre-departure orientation where we'll give more specific health and safety guidance. We typically invite our on-site partners to those meetings to share more specifics of things to consider for whether you're traveling to Buenos Aires or Prague. And then we also have intensive orientation once we get to campus in Raleigh. And then again, when we get to each of the different locations, kind of orienting you to the city, making sure you're familiar with everything that's going on. And the on-site staff support, I think, is really great to have there, because all of the faculty who are teaching classes are very busy teaching their classes on site, but the staff are there solely to support students. So if a student gets sick, we will take them to the doctor. We're kind of there to help with anything that comes up on a program. And we typically have, a student with a cold or something like that and might have to go to the doctor to get a prescription. So that I think that's helpful for this program. We also in pre-departure orientation recommend, being up to date on all of your different vaccinations to be preventative of any sort of illness you might get while abroad. And then we go over some more common things that might happen in a program in each of these locations. Overall, on study abroad programs, the most common incident that students report is a pickpocket or petty crime. And so part of what we talk about is just being aware of your surroundings, making sure that you know where your belongings are, separating things out. We go over a lot of that information to help students kind of be prepared for something that they may not be used to. So financials is another big question that we often get. So we have one program cost for Buenos Aires and one for Prague, which you see up there. That program cost includes the tuition for the 3 credit hour class that students will be taking, all of the housing, the excursions, about 1 meal per day on average. Sometimes it's lunch, sometimes it's dinner. All of the different excursions. So, going to Teresine, going to the different tours of businesses, all of that is included. Some transportation pass within country so that you can travel on public transportation, and of course, international health insurance. What is not included in that program cost, which would be an additional cost, is that in order to apply to the program, students will pay a $75 setup fee or application charge. If accepted to the program, in order to confirm your spot on the program, there's a $375 study abroad fee that you pay, both of those within your application. And then for this program, just because we are all coming together in Raleigh and then flying overseas together, we arrange a group flight to make sure that we're all on the same flight in case, so that we're not all trying to separate. It's a very intensive program. So we will book a group flight, and both the group flight and that program cost will be billed to your student account. And so you would pay that how you would pay your student account normally. And we estimate the group flight to be around $1,600 or so. And then out of pocket, once you get on the ground, there'll be very minimal things that you need to worry about, but mostly any meals that aren't included. So breakfast and lunch or dinner every day. If there are any personal expenses, if you want to buy souvenirs, things like that. So we recommend having around $450 or so for those sorts of things. But most of what you pay is all included in the program cost. So not a need to bring a lot of money with you to Prague or Buenos Aires. And then we also have three $1,500 scholarships available for students on this program. And we will notify, so whoever applies for the program, I think there's just a question within the application. Do you want to be considered for the scholarship? And you should select yes. That is all you need to do. And then when you're accepted for the program, we will announce at that same time who has received the scholarship. And that will be posted to your account and deduct from the amount that you would owe for the program. So on campus, students will stay in a residence hall, usually one of the ones on main campus, close to Tally Student Union. And then in Prague or Buenos Aires, students will stay in shared apartments, usually 2 students per room, 4 to 6 people per apartment, but they have shared kitchens. I have not been to the apartments in Buenos Aires, but I have seen pictures and they seem very lovely. This is a picture from the housing that's in Prague. And yeah, students have shared kitchens. So again, if you're kind of trying to stay on a budget with your spending money in country, a lot of students will cook. I know in Prague, there's a grocery store directly across the street from the housing. So students will go grab some food and cook. And I saw lots of pictures of the students from Buenos Aires sharing group meals. They cooked some stuff together. So, and that's also just a fun way that students will bond with each other while in country. So returning to Raleigh, this is maybe one of the biggest benefits of the program is that you get back to campus on August 12th, which is the Tuesday before classes start. I think both programs get back on that day. Prague students leave that morning, and the students in Argentina leave the night before. But you'll have your parents or family or support system meet you at the airport, and you can immediately check into your on-campus housing for the fall semester. If you've not been or had like a sibling or a friend who's been to NC State, moving in during the regular move-in time is awful. It's crazy. There's so many people. They rush you. You have like an hour to get in and get your key. And so this is a really great benefit that you get to go take your time, move in when there's only a couple people on campus. And then you really get to get settled before the whole rush of everybody coming back to campus. And then you'll be here for the start of Wolfpack Welcome Week. Packapalooza is a big event that happens within the first couple of weeks. So there's a lot to go on once you get back to campus. So if you are interested in participating, first step is that you have to commit to NC State and pay your advance enrollment deposit. And then it takes about 2 or 3 days for that to sort of process through the system. But then you should be able to start an application for the program. And I think this goes to our application page. Yep. So on this timeline here, we have links that go to the application pages for each program. So once you get here and you've paid your enrollment deposit, you have your Unity ID and password, you should be able to apply now and log in to start your application. Again, it takes about 2 days after you've paid that enrollment deposit for that to come through. But you can find more information about each of the programs, a cost breakdown that kind of estimates all of those costs together, if that's helpful for you to look through. And then also on each of the programs, we have some really cool little videos that we've made of the students from this past year. So a good way to kind of see what the program is about. Oops. Okay. And then I would say there is no rush to applying. All students will be considered equally at the May 1st deadline. So don't feel like you need to rush, pay your enrollment deposit to start an application. Take your time. Once you've decided to come to NC State, and you've paid your deposit. In 2 days, you can start your application. I recommend starting an application about a week before May 1st, at least, because there are some essays within the application and you want to take time to write those because there's not a whole lot to base your applications off of since you don't have an existing GPA with NC State. The faculty really use those statement of purpose essays that you write to determine who to accept into their course. In the past, we've been able to accept most students who've applied to these programs. But again, there's no guarantee. We cap the programs at 17 participants per course. And we've had around 15 students on each program in the past. So that's a general overview, ding. So with that said, I do just want to mention that there are lots of other study abroad opportunities should you decide, maybe I'm not ready to do this 2-week intensive experience before I've even come to NC State. We have tons of other study abroad opportunities available for you. If you're interested in doing something that's not summer start, you've got plenty of time. Just connect with our office once you get to campus in the fall. But if you are interested in this program, May 1st is the big date to remember. That's when you need to submit your application. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll stay around if anyone has questions so that we can answer those for you. So whether you have them, I saw there might have been a couple in the chat.